This episode of Like It or Not is sponsored by CH Peptides, a trusted source for high-quality research peptides like tirzepatide, BPC157, and IGF-1LR3. With fast shipping, consistent purity, and top-tier service, CH Peptides keep things simple and reliable. Want to learn more or book an appointment? Just call or text 707-380-6411. Tell them your boys from Like It or Not sent you, and you get 15% off your order. You can also order at chpeptides.com and enter Like It or Not at checkout for 15% off your order. So do not delay. Call today. That's CH Peptides. Products are for research use only, not intended for human or animal use. Complete Health Peptides makes no claims or promises regarding the effects of any product. This episode of the podcast is sponsored by Thompson Construction. Thompson Construction is an excavating and grading general engineering contractor based right here in Ukiah, California. They specialize in septic system installation and repairs, land and site development for residential, commercial, agricultural, anything you got going on. These guys can handle it. No job too big or too small. At Thompson Construction, they love what they do and they take the utmost pride in their work. Customer satisfaction and great attention to detail is a major goal of these guys. So give them a call today, 707-391-7679 for your free quote. That's 707-391-7679. This episode of Like It or Not is sponsored by The Thirsty Axe, Ukiah's axe throwing and music venue extravaganza. Go to thirstyaxe.com to view their calendar of all their upcoming events. Saturday, March 28th, we have a Bob Marley tribute featuring the Sonoma County roots band Soul Horizon. Saturday, March 28th, Soul Horizon doing a Bob Marley tribute night. Doors open at 8 p.m. Pre-sales online are $15. If you want to pay at the door, that's $20. But I suggest you go to thirstyaxe.com and get your tickets today for Saturday, March 28th with Soul Horizon doing a Bob Marley tribute night. The boys at Pure Blends Barbershop have done it again, ladies and gentlemen. Voted 4 years in a row best barbershop in Lake and Mendocino counties. That's right. If you want to go to the best, that would be Pure Blends Barbershop. Call right now to book an appointment, 707-472-6097. Get yourself looking good like Drew and I do at Pure Blends Barbershop. Spring is right around the corner, ladies and gentlemen, and you have a project that needs to be done, and we have the people to do that project. DC Customs, that's who we're talking about. You have a truck that needs a lift or an exhaust or new tires, or you want to pimp out your ride, DC Customs is the place to do it. Go to dccustoms.net or call right now to get your project started at 707-463-2227. That's the OG's DC Customs. My name is Carter Lane.
I'm Drew Nickel.
Welcome to the show. Oh my God. I think you have a problem, bro.
What the fuck is wrong with you? Oh my goodness. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to another episode of Like It or Not. My trusty co-host, Carter, wasn't able to make it. He came down with a really bad case of pink eye. And apparently that's contagious. Did you know that?
Well, it is contagious, yeah.
Yeah, so I told him he's going to have to sit this one out.
Thank you for that.
We wish you a speedy recovery, my man, and best of luck with that. Hope it doesn't affect...
drops in there.
Can you get some long-term vision impairment from that? I don't know.
I honestly think you can. Listen, I was talking a little bit about how I'm getting elderly, and so I had to get glasses. But then I just tried to get contacts.
Oh, dude. Can you put them in?
Yeah. So I put them in. It's been 3 weeks. But they don't. Do you have contacts? So they don't.
No, but I'll tell you a story after you're done telling your story.
They don't let you leave until you can put them in and out 3 times.
Oh, really?
In the office. So you're under this pressure. There's all these people and they have appointments and you're trying to do it. So la-di-da, I do it Thursday. I got them. I'm back in school, which we can talk about, and I was doing homework Saturday after I first got them. I'm thinking, like, my eyes are getting blurry. Maybe I'm getting tired. I should put my glasses on, too. So then I was reading for like an hour, and I'm like, well, should I not be wearing glasses and contacts? So I went to take the contacts out. Couldn't find it. And I was like, well, maybe it fell on the floor. So I put my glasses on. I'm looking all over for this contact. Can't find it. Go on TikTok to see, like, what do you do?
You were looking for it in your eyeball?
No, I was looking for it. Like, I thought it was out. Like, I thought, like, maybe that's why it was blurry. So I go on TikTok to see, what do you do if you lose a contact? Because it's a Saturday. Doctor's office is not open. Okay, not me, but a lady had 24 contacts in her eye. She just kept putting them in and in and in.
Bring that up. The lady that has 20 had like 60 contacts in her eye. Dude, you have to play this. This is so disgusting.
So it was underneath my eyelid, and I thought I was gonna have to call my friend that's a nurse to like get it out. I figured out how to get it out, but man, no, it's rough. Did you? Yeah, tell me if you tried it before. And then they turned them green so they could get them out of her eye.
So I went to my niece's they got a warning on this thing that it's so bad. So I went to my niece's 6th birthday party, and it was.
So we just removed.
Okay, watch this.
Look down.
23 contact lenses stuck in a patient's eye.
Can you lift it up a little bit? There's a third contact.
Apparently, she thought these just dissolved, so you didn't need to take them out.
2.5 contacts.
Yeah, she was doing like daily surgery.
Oh my God! Look at this.
There's more.
There's one. Ugh.
How many?
For the record, I don't know. There's actually a wall.
Oh, God.
There's a whole waddle there.
They were.
I believe it.
Oh my God! I can't hardly. Oh my God!
So
Ugh.
You're my Guinness Book of
look
Record
how many
patients.
there were.
Oh, God.
We're delivering.
Dude, she's still pulling them out. That's
Remember.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
This is bizarre.
What was this lady thinking?
She
Say that again.
Like, how do you not know?
We'd have to
that
count
they're
them. I
just
think I've
going
already
up.
counted more than 10
You
or
would
12.
think.
All
it
right,
would
all right.
be
Turn it
all
off.
over
Turn
the
it off.
Seriously.
I can't take it anymore. That is so disgusting. That poor woman. So I went to a K-pop demon hunter birthday party.
Slay.
And I was
Love
like,
Golden.
I want to be a demon, because you had to be one or the other. So I got these demon contact lenses to put in. So I ordered them from Amazon, which seems totally legit to get something from Amazon and stick it in your eye, right? And they come.
It's super healthy.
Yeah, I figured it out. And I could not get the things in. It's so hard.
Yeah, super.
I was like, my wife was absolutely laughing at me because I was like, ah! Every time I'd go, she'd be like, quit blinking, hold your eye. And every time I would go to put it in, I couldn't help it. I would blink. So finally I got them in, and guess what? They weren't see-through. They were literally like, I couldn't see. I was like,
They're like solid.
I was like blinded by them. So anyways, I was like, took them out, and I
didn't
wore
quite
one,
work
but
out.
it's a terrible experience, and I'm sorry you have to deal with that on a daily basis.
Hey, working on it. You know, I was saying, I in particular, I feel like I get quite a bit of hate as an elected
No,
official.
why?
I'll take it.
You're so sweet.
I get it. But I had somebody write on a blog about me about how I sent this email and how it was like so messed up and I'm dumb and illiterate. And I was like, me? And so I went back and found the email. And first of all, it was like 4 a.m. that I sent it. So I was like, well, maybe I didn't have coffee. And then I was looking at it a little bit more and I was like, no, that's pretty bad.
Turns out I'm dumb and illiterate.
What the heck? So I went to the eye doctor and yeah, no, sure enough, needed glasses. So, thanks to the haters for giving me, a path to medical advice. Appreciate that,
Yeah.
I think even the haters have something useful to say. Like I always read it, right? Like maybe there's a grain of something in there that I need to do my job better.
Sure. And you find it in there with I call them trolls. I think that's really,
Trolls, yeah.
There's just something about the internet that makes you want to like bring out the worst in people. And I find it in myself too. Like sometimes I'm like, think of some funny, smart ass, snarky thing to say. And then I'm like, why am I going to type this in and do that?
Yeah.
Like, I got to what's the draw? But I can imagine you get a ton of it. In fact, I've seen it before.
It's so easy, I think, when you're on your phone or you're on your computer or whatever, to just separate yourself from the human aspect. And for me, being a local person, right? I'm born and raised in Ukiah.
Yeah.
And like, don't be a hater. You're going to see me at my granddaughter's t-ball game or at the grocery store. Like, I see you. My youngest daughter is 16 now, which is crazy. But we were at an event on Sunday and this woman was like, oh, you're Mo. And I was like, yeah. And she goes, well, I'm, so-and-so. And she introduced herself. And I'm like, yeah, I know who you are. I see what you write about me on the internet.
Yeah.
And my daughter was just like,
catch me outside, dude.
you just said that. I was like, yeah, because I'm so tired of it, man.
Well, the truth is the truth, right? I mean,
Yep.
At the end of the day, like if we're gonna say it online or someone's gonna say it, then they said it, and that's how it is. I definitely get a lot of that on the podcast. People will be like, "Oh, remember when you said so and so on the podcast, such and such on the podcast?" And I was like, "No, but I probably did."
Probably
you know
sounds
what I
like
mean?
something I'd say.
You try and talk for 90 minutes a week and see what comes out. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. So you're what? 2nd District Supervisor.
Yeah, so I'm the 2nd District Supervisor for the County of Mendocino. So for those that don't know, born and raised, and ran for Ukiah City Council in 2014. Started serving as a city council member in 2015. Ran again in 2018. Served as the mayor of Ukiah in 2019, and then ran for supervisor all through 2020. Won that election. Started my first term 2021. Ran again 2024, and so this is my second and final term. I'm not going to run again.
Why not?
That was kind of always the plan. I did an interview early on when I was running, and people right away were like, don't box yourself in like that. Don't say you're just going to do 2 terms. And I really believe that it's hard to get done what you want to get done in 4 years, but if you can't get it done in 8, then you need to let somebody else do it, right? And
Okay. That's fair.
at one point, I think I thought I might run for like Senate or Assembly because I was really digging it. I love the job. I don't love like the haters, but I love doing the work, and just decided that for like my mental health and who I am as a person, I was not going to go to like a higher elected office. So
Because that's really when the knives come out, right? When you start going into like state elections and things like that. I mean, that's a whole nother arena.
I think it's a whole different ball game, and why I ran for city councils because I love my community, and why I ran for supervisors because I wanted to like make a bigger difference, right? And so to take that to the next level, do I love Sonoma County? Sure, but do I love them enough to like work 24/7 for them? Maybe not.
So when you're in till 2028.
Correct.
So you got 2 more years. Mm-hmm. So when you decided to run and you won, what were your main agenda items that you wanted to accomplish in 8 years?
Sure. So I think that after being on the city council and having basically no impact on humans, right? Like that was one of my main reasons why I ran, because the county gets all the funding for health and human services, which is behavioral health, substance abuse, homelessness, addiction. All of that funding comes through the county. The other thing is that the city of Ukiah is 4.6 square miles, so it's only so big. And the county has not been
not growing anytime soon.
Well, the county has not been able to get like these. We had a conversation today at our board. We had a board meeting today, so we had a conversation today about Bella Vista. The county has not been able to get these really important housing projects through development, and so I really wanted to be like have a seat at the table for that, because that's important. It matters to my community, and I wanted to just have a bigger role. So it's hard, like I said, to get stuff done in 4 years. And also you're getting new people every 2 years.
Yeah.
So right now we have the 3rd and 5th district seats are both up for re-election. Supervisor Hashak is not running. And
And how many terms has he done?
this is his second.
And he's done after this too?
Yeah.
How come he's not running again? Come on, you guys got a little taste of the power here, dude. Let's go.
I'm not sure. I would leave that to him. I think he
Let him
is
answer
another
that
guy.
question,
He
huh?
had retired as a teacher and then was a supervisor, so maybe he'd like to actually be really retired.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, and then Supervisor Williams in the 5th district is also not running. So I made a little infographic that has.
You want us to bring it up?
I would love that. It's the one that has the county,
the graphic.
the county elected officials across the top. Is his voter guide. I don't know if it's 1 or 2. Yep, that's the one.
The one with the faces.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's us. So, one of the things I think that I didn't know before I was a supervisor is just the impact of all of the elected officials. So you have the 5 supervisors, and then you also have the sheriff, the DA, the assessor, clerk, recorder, registrar of voters, and then currently it's the auditor, controller, treasurer, tax collector, but the board, so that was like a controversial decision. We merged those positions and then we unmerged them.
Okay.
So now there's 2 different positions. So on there, the filing deadline to close is actually Wednesday. So this will air after the filing deadline. But I took what there was as of today, Tuesday. And so below the 3rd district and the 5th district, those are the people that are running. Ted is rerunning for his seat. And Tanya Mounts is running for assessor, clerk, recorder, registrar of voters. And then for auditor controller, it's Megan. And for treasurer, tax collector, Shamise Cubison is running for that position. And there are no...
Wasn't she the one with all the drama with Eisler and all that?
Yeah.
So she ended up holding on to her spot.
So it's kind of interesting that she's running for a different position, treasurer or tax collector. So before she was the combined position, she was the assistant auditor controller. So, I'm not sure if she's going to have a ballot statement that talks about why she made that choice, or, I think one of the things the reason I wanted to bring, because I watch you guys, I listen in on the show.
Yeah, I saw you at the bank and you were like, I listened to your show and I ended up swearing at the microphone. I'm feeling a little spicy, so I'm like, all right, dude, Mo, bring it, dude.
It's true. I think that there's so much misconceptions about, especially around what local electeds do in your community.
Sure.
And the impact and the role that they have. And so this election will be June 2nd. And I really just think it's important for people to know who they're voting for and know what jobs they do and know where they serve. I did bring you my infographic with the little map, and it has Motel 6 and
hotel.
This is one of my favorite. Yeah, there it is.
Okay.
So the 5th district. So you're driving on State Street, right? You're leaving the city limits of Ukiah, which is the yellow line. The 2nd district.
That's you.
Is me. Yeah. So that's McDonald's.
Yep.
The 5th district, Motel 6 North. That's Ted. And then the 1st district, Supervisor Klein. That's the old Carl's Jr.
Right.
So
how
that's
weird is that, huh?
Intertwined.
Who drew these lines?
We all are.
Is this gerrymandered? This looks gerrymandered.
No, there's actually a really a group of.
Did Gavin Newsom draw these lines?
Oh my gosh! There was a group of citizens that did the redistricting when every 10 years when there's a census.
Yeah.
They do redistricting. The goal is to make it so that generally we have the same amount of constituents, which mine is about 18,000.
Wow.
But here's the thing, also another important thing, the census, right? Most people think I'm not filling out the census. What do they want me, why do they want to know who lives in my house and how much money I make,
that's right? None of your business.
All very important for having representation, especially with your elected officials. And then for agencies like the county or other agencies, they can draw down grant funds based on
how many people
the
live there.
Demographics, right?
So if your district grows in population and all of a sudden you have more than 1,800, what happens? Do they redraw the lines, or?
Yeah, they would.
They would.
It gets real wild. Back over by the high school, that one switched a little bit.
Yeah.
I think I have all of Laws Avenue, and I used to just have Ted had the south side and I had the north side of Laws Avenue. So it changes with the census every 10 years.
All right. Well, then the 1st district's got to get something in where Carl's Jr. used to be then, huh?
You know what? It's really funny.
Can we get an Anna's or something?
Anna's?
Isn't that what it's called?
Amy's, but they just went out of business.
Thank you. Amy's went out of business?
Yeah, they just
because they didn't sell meat, dude.
They just closed.
You got to slang them burgers. Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, write a letter, write a strongly worded letter to your favorite fast food restaurant.
Does writing letters
Chick-fil-A.
really work? I feel like that's something you politicians tell people to do so that they'll just leave you alone. Yeah, write me a letter. And then you got a pile of them over there that you put your gum in.
Oh no! Oh, so this is
I mean,
I
really
get
though,
roasted.
who
I get
writes a
roasted.
letter anymore in 2026, dude?
I mean, send an email. But this is something that I also would advocate for if you're trying to reach out to elected officials is don't use the form letter. Like, I would rather not get 100 of the same email. I would rather get you writing me one sentence about why that issue is important to you than
Yeah.
that you cut and paste.
Then people are all saying just so
I'm
they
like,
can
it's the
show
same
your
thing.
support.
Well, and I read every email, and so then I'm like scrolling to the end to be like, what's your thing that you're worried about?
Yeah. All right. So Mendocino County, give it a grade. How do you think we're doing? A, B, C, D, E, or F? I guess E isn't an actual grade, so we'll take that one off.
E.
I'll give us an E.
Give us an E.
E for effort.
Effort. E for effort.
But I mean, seriously, how do you think we're doing? And not necessarily like grading yourself or the board, but like as a county, when you look at jobs, economy, all the different things, where do you think we are?
We're not doing great, but we're also not that different from rural counties, right? Like, I think most of the counties in Northern California are under the same circumstances that we are, especially if you're talking about like Humboldt and folks like the rapid decline of the cannabis industry, I think harmed a lot of counties, right?
Yeah.
So I think we're all kind of in the same boat. Mendocino County, frankly,
Shit the bed. Shit the bed.
I mean,
sorry, but
that's fine. I wasn't there. So go ahead. I mean, that's one of the things, right, about being an elected official is that those original policy decisions that happened way before I was elected. And then what do I do to try to fix it is what I had to look at.
So we had McGowan who basically got put in charge of doing that whole thing, right? I mean,
I
that's kind of
I
how
don't
it seemed.
think anybody put him in charge. He just did.
Yeah, but there's four other people on the board going like, Supervisor McGowan, what do you think here? What button should I hit? Huh?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's what it looked like to me in those chambers. And so that was what, 2017? And
Yeah.
then you got elected to the board when? 2018?
I started 2021.
2021.
January of 2021.
Okay, so you kind of came in and had that whole thing. It's just such an epic failure, and I'm curious, like, what are your thoughts on cannabis in Mendocino County, and like, where do we go from here? Because it just seems like it's dead and shot, and everybody feels like it's too little, too late, and every time we try to wiggle or do something, we get a bunch of Karens from Redwood Valley that want to come running out and squawk about how it's going to affect their jog in the morning and don't contribute to the economy. And I really think like you should get votes based on how much you contribute or something. I don't know here.
Just
but
waited.
We got to figure something out though, because I feel like it's rough. So what's your thoughts?
No, I 100% agree with you. And I think, when I was running for re-election, that was one of the questions that came up. Like, what's your, I don't know, like your biggest regret, or what's the thing that surprised you most after your first 4 years? And I think the stigma surrounding the cannabis industry was not something that I understood to be as real as it was, right? So I grew up in Mendocino County. I know cultivators. I might have inhaled a time or two. Sorry, Dad. But, I sold insurance before I was a supervisor, and I was doing surety bonds for cannabis cultivators. Like, to me, it was a normal thing that, like, people would have this as a business. So then to be an elected official that's charged with making policy decisions and to see like all the haters come out against cannabis was surprising to me. Like, I knew that they were there, but just the amount of like angst around the industry was surprising to me. And the infighting within the industry and small cultivators and people that wanted expansion was also another thing. Like, I'm at the farmers market talking about being an elected official. I'm talking about mixed waste organics and like all these other things that I deal with. And I got a booth next to me, and they're fighting against expansion and gathering signatures and just saying all kinds of stuff about me. And I'm like, do you know you're talking about me? Like, this, I'm that person that you're talking about. And so there's just, I don't know what the answer is. It's so
interesting because like I would go to when they were talking about what the ordinance would be, and I would see my neighbors get up and scream against legalizing it, and and then against the ordinance and allowing it. and they would say like, oh, it's, it's ruined our neighborhoods and all of that. And it's like, as soon as it got legal and the actual ordinance went through, all of these neighborhood grows evaporated within a handful of years. So legalizing it and having an ordinance did exactly what these complainers wanted, which was get it out of their backyards, but yet they're still up there complaining against it. And so I think their hearts are in the right place as far as a good community, but it's misguided in understanding, like, it's not what you think it is. Like you said, it's so demonized. And then, I don't know, the fight against the expansion. Do you think there's any hope for, having like expanding it to an acre in Mendocino County at any point where it would in the near future?
I don't know. I think we had that, kind of opportunity with a new board to kind of see where it was going to go. And it didn't, right? Like it didn't, there wasn't enough
support with the board
to move forward. But who gets elected next? What are their opinions? I mean, that's the frustrating thing, I think, about creating policy. And it's both frustrating and, it could be good, I guess, if people are doing what you want. But that's the thing about creating policy, is that it could change based on whoever's elected. And I think that's why it's so important that you pay attention to these smaller, and I just think smaller local races are really important, because those are the people that are making the decisions that impact your everyday life,
Yeah, people don't even realize it. They just see a bunch of signs on the side of the road and kind of pick one. I mean, I don't know that it's that easy to really understand what somebody's point of view is before you vote for them either.
Yeah, I think you have to research, right? Like, you have to Google them, you have to look at their website, you have to go to candidate forums. I mean, you can find a lot about people, like how prepared they are, what their positions are, and if they're...
Yeah, people just don't do that, though, because it's like, how much time does that take? You know what I mean? And it's important, but they don't. And I just... All right, so cannabis kind of just, flopped on its face, and there doesn't seem to be any energy in the county around wanting to change that. So what do you guys in the board, like, what's you probably can't tell me too much, but like, what do you guys talk about in the back rooms? Like, do you think, and are you guys under the impression that your districts are doing well and that the county is doing well and that, everything is good? Or are you realizing, like, okay, obviously we're struggling to bring in revenue, there's not a lot of jobs, what do we do here? Like, what's that look like around the water cooler there?
Yeah, and I think I would just say, like, there's not really backroom discussions about it. There's real public conversations. Like, you can watch on YouTube our conversation today about the road. There's staff is bringing forward a road sales tax for discussion, right? But I think we tried to bring economic development back in-house and to, like, try to figure out how to move forward with what industries need and how do we, I don't think we're going to, like, entice some big manufacturer, but, like, what do the industries that are here need, and how do we make changes to support them? But that person left for a different job, and what happens next, right? So
you say you try to bring in support for the economy, like, that's left or that's here. Like, so what do we have? What do we got that we could make better?
Well, we still do have a cannabis industry, right? That's permitted.
So there's that.
Unfortunately, also wineries are not doing that great, but we have them. I think one of our, like, untapped opportunities is outdoor recreation and inland tourism. So the Mendocino coast during COVID went off. Like, that changed the way that people traveled because they couldn't leave the country. So they drove from the Bay Area and Sacramento to the Mendocino coast. So Mendocino coast, highly successful.
Nothing like being on the coast, breathing in the fresh air through your mask. I got to say, that was just really a pleasant experience.
But inland has not had the same opportunities.
Correct.
So the board has been pushing for an ordinance for low intensity camping, which is like hip camping. We're trying to get short-term rentals going so people can come and, vacation inland. We have, I don't know if you saw that the Greater Ukiah Business and Tourism Alliance and the Army Corps of Engineers are working on turning the old Chicago campground at Lake Mendocino into a destination.
Great white bat.
A destination park. So it'll have like a meditation deck, a walking path, a children's playground, like a place for food trucks to bring back economic development and tourism to Lake Mendocino. So in a 2017 study, they showed that Lake Mendocino loses $16 million in sales, would generate $16 million in economic value by being fully open, right? By having boats, by having camping, by...
It loses money by being open?
No, it would gain $16 million to the community.
Sure.
So the Cayenne campgrounds just opened about a week ago, and those have hookups. They had a bunch of storm damage to clean up at Boucher, so they're going to open that when the water levels go down. But this is the thing that I see, especially on social media or even just talking to people. Oh, the lake sucks and it blah, 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 and it doesn't have any water. I'm like, have you physically gone to the lake and seen the water in the lake? Or are you looking at some old picture from 2018?
Well, we've done a good job of keeping water in the lake for the last 2 years, but I mean, there's times you can drive by there and you see the old roads from Coyote Valley at the bottom of that lake.
Well,
so,
we live in California, so we have droughts and we have floods.
And we're tearing out dams.
Natural disasters.
Right.
I think so. That's the other thing that kind of got some hate about on Lake Mendocino side. I mean, there's plenty of stuff that got hate, and we can get into the dam, but
we will eventually. But let's stay here.
Lake Mendocino used to just release water, right? And now they go by this whole scientific study called FERO, and that was a big deal in my opinion. The Army Corps is a federal agency that is tasked with doing military style protection and flood control. They're the Army Corps, right? So for them to be okay, scientists, let's see, how do we keep more water in the lake? This is a good and interesting thing, and to be the first lake to benefit from that program is awesome.
The lake is awesome. I have no complaints about that. I think the campgrounds around it, I think having it open, all of those things are really good, and I think you're right in that, tourism could be a thing here. I was talking with somebody today, and they were from Sonoma County and talking about the tourism in Sonoma County. And what brings a lot of tourism there is wine, right? Sonoma County, I mean, you can go there and see wealthy people, having a bottle of white wine at 11 o'clock in the afternoon, and that's just perfectly fine. So we're not wine, but I think there's a missing link to getting tourism here is two things. I think a cannabis infused tourism would actually work really, really well. Yeah. And I think the second part of that, which would come with that, would be restaurants, right? And we can all sit here and be like, this is what we need, just like any Facebook forum. But realistically, what can the board just go and do? Is say, okay, we want to start attracting canna tourism to Mendocino County, and we realize people spend money on what they want, not on what they need, and that they'll come here and they'll go to the lake and they'll do all those things. But also, if the farms that are left could sell, on their, on their farms, or you could have some kind of cannabis experience similar to going to a winery and tasting all the wines that they make. What can the board do to just get that going? Or do we have to go through all of these heartbreaking meetings for 6 months and have nothing really happen?
Well, I mean, it has been painstaking how long the meetings are for, especially for this conversation about cannabis, but also the short-term rentals and the low-intensity camping, right? Because that's the opportunity for me.
Yeah.
The farms that were in Spy Rock and Laytonville and Covelo, their opportunity is to get people physically on their properties to rent them. Otherwise, how are they going to retain their property? So for me, that conversation could have been moving much quicker than it has been, but it's, as you said, the NIMBYism, the not in my backyard people that come out and I don't want somebody having a party next to me. It's like, nobody's having a party. Like, they're just hanging out and camping overnight. Like, it's not a big rager, you know? I think there's just so much.
And it's also like, no offense, but like, who gives a shit what you want? People have personal property rights, and we're talking about, you know, what people want to do on their property. Sure, we can put ordinances where it's not bothering everybody. We don't want to just have a free for all, but at the end of the day, it's like, so what you want?
Well, I feel the same way. And I think that that's the kind of the challenge, I think, where board members, and I've seen this happen while I'm on the dais, can be influenced. And I remember it was not a current board member, but a previous board member. I was like, well, so-and-so came and said XYZ to me, so I'm going to change my vote and vote this other way. Like, we cannot elect people that are going to be influenced by one person for the greater good of the community. Like, I just so strongly believe that we should elect people that are prepared, that understand the issues, and are thinking out for the bigger interests. But you can't be one of 5 people and just implement all the changes that make sense to everyday Mendocino County people.
Okay, so hip camping and Airbnbs and tourism. So how does the board get that cracking? How do we get that by next summer?
Let's go.
We're jet skiing, and it's like, what's the guy with the hair and the glasses on the jet ski? Come on. Oh, you're killing me. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
The pitcher play baseball. Come on, Ricky Bobby. No, all right.
Anyways, that guy. We want him to come to Lake Mendocino.
Yeah,
and do a video.
We need it could be so cool at Lake Mendocino. Let's put some gas pumps back in there, start slinging some chicken sandos, and get it going.
Yeah, I think that's part of the idea with the destination park is to like revive Lake Mendocino as a tourist hub. But I also, I think I see a lot of. You really found it?
No, he wasn't.
Oh, that's a different guy.
Yeah, he's not a real baseball player. It was a TV show with that guy. That anyway, who cares?
So
it would have been cool at the time, but I couldn't think of his name. I
think there's opportunities like Lake Mendocino just all over the place, but it's not a giant. Like, we're not attracting manufacturing. Like, we're grateful for the manufacturers that we have here.
Yeah. Well, we got plenty of space. I mean, I know a lot of people don't agree, but I drive down 101 and it's just empty field after empty field. Like, fill it up. But I feel like we're sitting here and being like, oh, this would be good. But it's still really not like, yeah, but how the fuck do we actually get it going? Like, how do we make it happen? Why is Mendocino County so paralyzed and bogged down in the inability for anything to happen? Is it the people? Is it that we're just such a diverse community we can't agree? Is it because you 5 people on the board can't get your shit together? Or like, what's that? What is it?
Sure, both, I think, and I think the board of supervisors not getting their shit together has a lot to do with the influence of the people. And if you think about...
they're not even running for re-election, 3 of them, dude. Just get the rubber stamps out, boys. Make something happen.
I think that that's part of the confusing part for like everybody in the public to think about. Why can't this just be fixed, right? And for instance, today we had a presentation about employee wages versus comparator counties and how we rank amongst them. And if you look at like rural counties to the north, we're doing really well. Like, we pay our employees basically 7% over what other counties do. But if you also look at Sonoma County and south, then we're not doing so well. And then we're like, 0.5% under them. So it's this constant, and if you ask a county employee, we don't pay them enough. And if you ask a member of the public, we pay them too much. So it's a matter of like, how does the board take these conflicting dynamics and come up with a decision that we can move forward with?
Well, the problem with the county, and correct me if I'm wrong, that's why you're here, but they don't seem incentivized to get things done to help the people that are bringing money and paying the fees here. And I'm not talking about, there's a lot of very nice people in there. So if you're listening to this and you work for the county and you see me at the desk, like, it's all love. But in general, could we do something like, well, hey, if we increase the tax basis through tourism and, economic growth by X amount, then we give the county people a raise? Could, if you guys start approving to build more houses and more, projects, and that starts actually happening, we can say, okay, we approved X amount of projects and that's going to bring us X amount of money. Now you're entitled to a raise. That should be when you get paid. The problem is we all show up there with these big ideas of how we're going to make, Mendo great again, for lack of a better term. And all you get is like, well, there's, 88 compliance, and well, that fee went up 3 times, and you need a demo permit to take. I got to pay $1,200 just to take it down. It's like, what's with that? It's like, take it down. Why can't we just take it down and keep it moving? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could. You just want the money, baby. You want the money.
I don't need that money to follow government regulations. I feel like is. I'm not going to speak for other board members, but like for myself, like if we didn't have to do those things, I have no problem not doing the regulations, right? And like the first thing I always ask is like, is this a county thing or is this a state thing? Like who's actually making us do all of these compliance things? And most of the time it's a state thing, or this is why we have tried to change since I've been on the board, we have tried to change as many rules as possible to just remove the barriers that came from the county. And that looks like, the short-term rentals, the county was like trying to micromanage all the rules. And the board said, just go do it. Whatever the state is already telling you to do, go do that.
That seems like the play.
Like, that's easier.
Just do what the state says.
It's already rough enough with the state.
Yeah.
We don't need to make it harder.
Exactly. The state does a good job of that. And you guys try to add your frosting on the top and just complicate it up, give yourself a purpose, right? It's just like, just go. That's what you guys need. You need to play green light and just let people in this community start to do the projects they want to do, and have conversations around the coffee pot of like, how do we get the fuck out of the way and let these people do their thing?
I think that like the current board, I think that's the general consensus. That's the vibe.
All right.
People are like, we need to have less government, right? Like, what do we need to do to make that happen? And in my opinion, that's a good thing, right? Like that's what I want, to make it easier for people to open businesses or to use their property the way that they want, that works for their family. I'm absolutely on board with that. Yeah,
because I and maybe I'm preaching to the choir, but it seems common sense. And beyond, did you listen to the episode with Governor?
Governor, you're jumping ahead.
Gubernatorial candidate. I can't say that word. I was going to say governor candidate. Anyways, he said something that I was like, that's a good point. And he's like, and he was talking about the state, but he's saying the government, instead of fixing the problem of the reason why things aren't working and they're not earning the money that they need, their answer is just to charge more for it then and create, more taxes. And I'm not just saying you're responsible for this, but it's the county we've had all these marijuana grows, and we've had people doing all kinds of stuff in the county for a long time, legal and illegal. And when you go to clean it up, there's so much red tags and red flags and demo permits, and there's like this pound of flesh that has to be paid. And instead of saying like, okay, let's just take it down and make the property nice and build it again and build up our tax basis, make the property worth something again. Thank you for cleaning it up. It's no, you got to pay us all this money just to get it done. And then people say, never mind. And then it just stays shitty. And so that's the whole thing. It's like the county's trying to raise money by, having all of these fees attached with taking stuff down and building it. And instead of like working with people to allow them to make properties nice. And it's counterproductive. And it just seems like there's a lot of Mendocino County trying to make up for the gaps that they have in income by now trying to charge more fees to people. And it's ultimately keeping property values down.
For sure.
So there's that.
I don't think that you're wrong. I think that a lot of the reasons why we have fees, a lot of the reasons why we have regulations is because somebody sued somebody and then we had to create a rule, right? So I think as far as like cleaning up after the illegal cannabis industry and what do we do about that, I think it's like absolutely heard that we need to be able to clean up, all the plastic and all the stuff that's left behind. And we've worked to figure out like how can we get grants, how can we streamline permitting, what do we do to make this easier? But unfortunately, just nothing in the county moves quickly.
I know,
but we're working on it. Like we know that we need to do that, and we're trying to. It just didn't happen.
They'll
yesterday.
red tag an old greenhouse that needs a demo permit, and instead of that property selling then for $250,000 to $300,000 and now being assessed, it doesn't sell because of this $1,200 fee that they want to collect. That property ends up selling for less, then records, for less on the tax basis, and then, it's like, okay, and then you got $1,200 to maybe clean up the plastic, or it just doesn't get done. I don't know. Anyways, it's just, I think getting back to the point where county feels like they should be paid more. When you go to the table and you're like, hey, I want to get this shitty old, shed that was built illegally off the property, and they're like, okay, that'll be $1,200, please, to take it down. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, and by the way, I want a raise.
But they don't say, hopefully they don't say that when they're handing out your permits.
We all know they want to be paid more money. And you know what? The more effective we are at our jobs, the more money we should make. It doesn't mean that they don't deserve more money, but they have to understand that the amount they get paid, right, is directly related to their ability to allow the people that they work for earn and make money through the county.
Sure. I think, efficiencies to improve the experience and to make it easier is really important in trying to figure out how to make that happen as much as possible.
All right.
Just didn't happen yesterday, Drew.
I know.
I think, but so here's the other thing,
and it's easy for me to say with, on this podcast. So
yeah, no. And I think code enforcement is an important county department.
Yes.
And part of the challenge with the county is, sometimes you'll have a property owner. And so I'm dealing with, or was helping with a situation in Willits where there's a hoarding situation. And really those folks that live in that house were just not even able to pay the fees and go to the dump and do all the things to clean up the property. So how does that get cleaned up? And at the end of the day, through the sale of the property is most likely when it's actually going to get cleaned up. So the county's core function is not to do that job. Although we do have opportunities through social services with adult and aging services or IHSS workers or something to at least help them a little bit if we put all the pieces together. But I think that getting all those pieces together is the hard part, and it's something that government is not used to doing, right? So as a business owner, if I have to solve a problem, I'm figuring out who do I call and how do I make this thing happen. Where government departments can sometimes be very focused on the work that they're doing and not even know that there's other pieces of the agency that could help them. And so we're trying to build those collaborations so that we can break down some of those silos.
So how though? You're in the belly of the beast. So you say you're trying to do it. What does that look like? How does one approach such an issue? Because it seems like a very daunting task.
Well, I think information and communication is really important, and that's something that has also been a challenge. But even for other agencies in internal departments to know what we do. So for instance, I have a little infographic that I share of who to call when. And I'm sure you've seen on the side of the road mattresses thrown on the side of the road. Well, we all pay, every time you buy a mattress, you pay an additional tax that goes into a fund with the state that pays for free mattress recycling. So there's no need to if you have a vehicle and you're taking it to the side of the road, there's no need to do that. You can take it to a transfer station for free. But
nobody knows that.
Nobody knows that. So, during mattress recycling day, I'm posting on social media, but how do I tell everybody and so that they know this is a free thing that you can do?
Yeah, it's a good point. And it's is that really your job? I mean, I get it, but it should be like, I don't know. Maybe you guys run some radio ads. You can, maybe put
the state has a whole mattress recycling council. Like
Yeah.
they have a whole thing.
I've seen a million empty
That goes-
billboards. You've seen them all here. I'm like, what could I put on these things? I would
mattress
think,
recycling.
yeah, cut a deal. I think like it just seems like government or your job would be better spent thinking, how do I get the message out through the channels rather than pour you out there being like, hey, please come help me clean up the river. Hey, please help me do this, because everyone, I don't know. And then you get all this like hate, and it's like, no, she's just trying to tell you you can clean up the river or you can take your mattress for free. But it's also like, how do we do that on a bigger scale besides just you doing your best on your Facebook page? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
No, and I mean, so this is a great example. I'm glad you brought it up. Before I was a supervisor, there was a program that was brought forward by a student, and he was wanting to create like encampment cleanups. And the board was like, we don't have any money. This was in 2019. We don't have any money. We can't do that. Good idea, kid.
But we should get a raise.
Have a nice day, kid. And off he went. And so then when I got on the board, that was like one of the first things that I tried to do and got shot down. So I bought a truck and I'm like, whatever, gonna go out there and clean it up myself. And I did for 4 years. And then I was like, you're not solving the problem. Like, you're fixing that problem when somebody calls and they're like, there's trash somewhere, go get it. And like, to the detriment of my mental health, sometimes I was like out there by myself, like cleaning up trash from people that I should not be cleaning up trash from, right?
Right. And people look at you and be like, shouldn't you be doing something like governing?
Yeah, exactly. No, I have a whole video like crying on my phone in my car, just like, this man totally, absolutely was like, why are you cleaning this up and whose job is it? And I'm like, it's nobody's job. That's why I'm doing it. But here's where we are now, a year later. So I got rid of my truck because I was not solving the problem. I was fixing the problem. And we now have illegal cleanups through MSWA, which is called Mendo Recycle. So if somebody's just dumping household trash, we have a contractor that'll go out and pick that up. We have a reimbursement program. So if somebody's collecting, picking up trash at the river themselves, they can get their transfer station fee reimbursed. And right now we just got a grant through Caltrans to clean up Ackerman Creek, which is a heavily, it's a big spot for illegal encampments, and Talmadge at the Russian River, which is another big spot for encampments, which I got pictures on my Facebook of cleaning up there. So we got a grant from Caltrans so we can send out an RFP so that can get cleaned up. I think as far as like encampment cleanups, the most important thing is that they're not repopulated. And I think we've seen, and we can disagree on it, that's fine, but we've seen a decrease.
We could agree to disagree.
We've seen a decrease in the encampments. And when people will be like, there's no difference, I'm like, the fuck there isn't, because I'm not getting called and I'm not out there cleaning up trash at North State Street across from Carousel. There's no trailers out there. Like, I'm not out at Perkins cleaning up trash, right? Like, there has been a change in the way that encampments are handled, both with the sheriff's office and with the police departments. And that has a lot to do with the laws changing, the Supreme Court decision to overrule Boise decision. Like, there's a lot that changed last year.
Like what?
To make certain things more illegal again, right? Like possession and camping.
Make meth illegal again.
I mean, it was
make stealing illegal again.
It was a thing there for a while that there wasn't a lot that law enforcement could do. But that has changed. And I think that I personally see, have you charged at the old Carl's Jr. in front of Rayleigh's? Like, looks a lot better, right? Like, when I know that you were complaining about that spot.
Was I? I don't know if I was complaining. I just think that it's such a beautiful opportunity for a thriving new business in Mendocino County.
Before there was like people living there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so that's gone now, though.
Yeah.
Right?
It's good.
Like over the last year. And I think that that's a change that is really important for our community to continue to see. So on Thursday, they're having an update to the homeless strategic plan. So this is one that always gets me, and people like bring up this Marbut report, and why don't we follow the Marbut report? Everybody adopted the Marbut report. Everybody followed it. But there weren't certain laws they were not able to follow, like law enforcement wise. But that has changed. So what happens next with homeless services? And I mean, I think about this stuff all the time. And we have a very high rate of people that have been homeless for a long time. And I've talked to some of them, and they, like, it is a prideful thing. Like, they don't want to accept a handout, or like, I don't need money from the government, but can you give me $5? I'm like, that's weird, but okay. Like, I think there's a whole generational poverty and addiction problem that we have in Mendocino County. And you see that in the faces, reflected in the faces on the streets. Those people, many of them have been on the streets for a very long time. Where do they go?
Well, I think that's what you guys need to be solving. Like, as a board of supervisors, we need to be figuring out, where do these people go? How do we raise money? My whole complaint is this: it shouldn't be an option that, okay, well, they're too prideful to take help, so then we're going to leave them here on the street. No, it's not an option to live here. It's against the law, or it should be. And so these are your options. And I think eventually, once you get them out of, being on Ford Street with 5 dogs and, used to that, they will find happiness in life again, or an opportunity to do something different. But if you just go see your friend and they're broke down on the side of the car, and you're like, dude, you need me to help you? You're like miles from nowhere. And they're like, no, dude, I got it. And you just leave them there.
Sure.
Where's the compassion in that?
I feel that, but also we just talked about personal rights and private property rights, right? So if I'm a person that does not want your help, I don't have to take your help. So this is the thing where we get into what's illegal and what's legal, right? And I think this is all, again, where the county has an opportunity to break down silos and collaborate and bring departments together. So Sheriff Kendall's been on your show. I'm sure you've heard him talk about how really it's fish and wildlife for the state of California that needs to be in the rivers, getting people out of the rivers. And so there's like a new kind of partnership trying to be formed to make sure that that's happening on their end, along with the county's core team going out and offering assistance to those people so that they can be taken off the riverbanks, right? But here, again, where do they go? Because do they just go to jail? Do they
Yes, that would be a good place for them.
Residential treatment? Like,
I would say you go to jail, or you can go to residential treatment, or you can go to a family member that will take you, or any kind of place where they could start picking up some of the trash that's out there. Because you're right. Okay, so that they have a right to not have a home. Fair enough. But where are they going to go to the bathroom?
Exactly. No, I fully understand.
On someone else's private property. So I have a right not to have bums, using my property.
That's true. No,
to go to the bathroom.
I do not believe that people should be living on the streets.
Okay.
I think that we should find ways to get them off the streets.
But we
talked about the rivers.
So the Marbut report. And that's what then they did in Fort Bragg, right? Which was implement the fact that it's not housing first, right? But it's getting them help with their issues first. And instead of sending cops, you're going to say, you brought up bring up the homeless service graphic that you brought here. And instead of, we go to the people and we say, like, hey, look, we know that you're homeless, and that's, okay, so who to call when?
This is a variety of all of the things that I get calls about.
Okay.
So the top one is, so the main point of this, right? The homeless continuum of care is the one that decides how the funding goes through. So they have requirements in the state of California to offer housing first. Like, that is a state law that they have to offer that.
So did the state get the Marmot report?
I don't know that, so it's kind of interesting because you see the arguments right now with Gavin Newsom and the counties and the cities about care court, which Care Court was meant to be a way to get these folks that are heavily entrenched with living on the streets off the streets and not allow them to choose, right? But the legislation got changed so much that few people meet the requirements to actually be held.
Okay, inefficient government.
Yeah, I mean, it's an inefficient policy, right?
Okay, so, but what I'm asking is, for the people that are homeless, and there's this whole graphic of people, of places and things that homeless can do, how do you have to wait? Do the homeless have to walk into these places in order to get the service, or are these services actually outreaching to the homeless to help them and let them know? Or is it just some lady behind a desk waiting for a homeless person to come in and ask them for money?
No, we have outreach services, and I think a lot of the service providers that have county contracts have outreach services. So they're out there talking to people, trying to figure out what they need, trying to figure out how to get them into housing all the time. They don't expect them to just show up. I think it's a matter of...
And so how do they find the people to talk to, the outreach? Do they go with the police officers when they're responding to the fifth call because someone's like screaming up and down in the Rayleigh's parking lot?
Sure. So the law enforcement will definitely do outreach to the county and have them send somebody out. One of the things that Dr. Miller, the director of behavioral health, wanted me to make sure to bring up is the crisis line. So, that's an opportunity, again, to to say get people into the system. That was a big thing about the Marbut report, was that we need to know who's using the services so that they're not double dipping or whatever. So to get folks into the system so we know who's working with them, so we don't have like multiple agencies offering them something, we figure out who they're working with and make sure that they're following through with them. Crisis outreach, of course, is also really that could be your loved one in your home that's thinking of harming themselves. There's a lot of reasons why you would call crisis. I think for the sheriff's office, and Sheriff Kendall has said, and UPD has said, you can call the non-emergency line or call 911 to report. You should be reporting if you have somebody camping on your property. You should not just be allowing that to happen because you're not sure what to do.
Do they have a right to camp on my property or no?
No.
Okay, but they have a right to camp on public property.
Not really anymore.
Okay.
They used to.
Okay, so then where do they go, right? That's what we're trying to figure out.
So I think that's are we just putting people in jail, and what's happening after they're in jail for 30 days? We're releasing them into the same situation. That's not helping them.
Well, that's my point. This is the failure of government, and I'm not putting this on you. I hope that it's not coming across that way, but we pay our taxes to the state and to, local and all of this. And you're right. The river has gotten cleaner, but what my point was when I was talking was that I wouldn't let my son still go and fish and run up and down the river and camp and stay the night like I did when I was growing up, because there is tweakers and dens of people that are entrenched from Ford Street all the way up to Lake Mendocino Drive, down the railroad tracks and all the way up. And that's just the way that it is now. And so my point is that's where they're getting pushed to, obviously.
But they're not.
They're not. They're not there anymore.
They're not. So the Great Railroad Trail Agency used to be an abandoned railroad. Now it's the Great Railroad Trail Agency. Has hired a contractor. I like the name. Has hired a contractor that's job is to go walk that area and make sure it's clean and make sure people aren't camping there. So if there is somebody camping there, then it needs to be reported so that somebody can go out and get them out of there.
Okay.
Right. And so I think this is the thing that before there used to be what do I do? I don't know what to do. Nobody owns this. There's no responsibility, but that's changed.
Okay.
And so that is a new development. So I understand why people don't know that, but at the same time,
how would they know?
Because there was newspaper articles, because I posted about it on social media. I don't know how you guys find out things.
In the journal? Yeah, that's
that's life's biggest question.
I don't know how the government tells people what the new thing is.
So, there's so many press releases that go out all the time. This is, it's National Social Worker Month. And so I shared on my social media a press release that was about a social worker. If newspapers or blogs aren't picking this stuff up and sharing it out, then it doesn't really go much of anywhere except for to the elected officials that serve on these boards, who then have the responsibility of communicating that out to the public.
Okay.
And that's, I think, a very unfortunate thing that I hope that when I leave office in 3 years, that it's not like that. I mean, I have been trying to get the county of Mendocino to have a PIO for 5 years, right? Like
What's PIO?
Public Information Officer.
Yeah.
So that's one voice
There you
that's
go.
telling the story of the county, the agency, because otherwise you have individual supervisors, and some of them, listen, we don't all carry the same workload, and we don't all have the same work determination, I would say. So you see different levels of people sharing out information or engaging with the public from different elected officials. And I think that that's not what the community needs. I think they need one voice that comes from the county.
Right.
That's not an elected official.
Give them a little budget. Let them slap some things up on, it's like when they wanted to tell me not to smoke, I could sure see don't smoke everywhere. Don't quit smoking cigarettes or dare. It's like, or McGruff, or Smokey the Bear. Like there's all of these things that are burned into people's heads. Help prevent forest fires.
Cut the rings off the soda cans.
Yeah, save the sea turtles. Like all of those stuff. People don't even use straws anymore. So it's like there's got to be a way where, I think government needs to start focusing on how do we communicate what services are available, because people don't know about them, and how we're supposed to know about them is still a mystery to me.
But where do you get your information, right? Like podcasts and YouTube or social media, right? So I think, there's some government departments like the Behavioral Health Department and Social Services, they're trying to get the information out. But also, and you've said, and I know, the responses that come from people when you're just trying to share out information are pretty crazy sometimes.
I know, people are nuts.
So there's
Fucking
like
lunatics.
a level of vulnerability when you put yourself out there. And I think that there's some, like challenges around like, what do we do as a government agency? How do we respond to all this hate? And I think, just personally, I think the city of Ukiah is doing a pretty funny job on their Facebook, just replying to people and be like, actually, that's wrong. And here's why it's wrong. I think at the county, we don't have the momentum to get that out. So I don't know if maybe this is going to be a surprise to you, but we're trying to hire a new CEO. So in addition to the elected officials that are going to be changing, which could I hope changes the way that we do a lot of things, especially financially related to property taxes and collecting taxes. But a new CEO could help the board change the dynamic that we have with the community, right? But
Leave that up for a second.
Who's the person that's coming here when it's
This is a great graphic, okay? Who to call and when, right? And so you got the homeless services, trash services, okay? Who made this graphic?
Me.
You made it. Okay. So it's
hire me. I could get a job.
So you're going to get backlash because people are going to be like, our second district supervisor spending all our time making fucking graphics, man. You know what I mean?
It really took me 3 minutes when I was making coffee.
Right.
I mean, it's fine.
But I would be like, hey, let's have what'd you call them? The public
PIO.
information officer, make these and then stick them on every sign and board and park that the county's in control of. Put it everywhere when I'm standing in line at the bank, when I'm doing that, so that I could read this and see this. And we all know it takes time before it starts to, sink in.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a good point. And the more that the public understands what the county even does is huge, right?
I got another great idea since I'm so full of them, right?
Oh, okay.
We gotta what are those codes at the bottom called?
QR code.
Thank you. QR code. Should be a QR code everybody in Mendocino County can click, and then they can opt in to text messages about this kind of stuff.
Love it. Yeah.
So you can send this to people and they'll look at it. Because there's a lot of great services here, behavioral health, but I could go down them and be like, okay, behavioral health and recovery services. So is that a county sponsored thing?
Yep, it's county department.
Okay, so how does one go about utilizing the services of the behavioral health and recovery service?
Call 707-472-2637. So I think that's the point, right? Like, the point was to just be like, this is what behavioral health does. So behavioral health would help you if somebody is in a crisis. They help with the overdose hotline and SUDT. They have the mobile outreach and prevention services. So like kind of that's what they do. Here's the people that are doing homeless services. It's building bridges. It's front door for families. Here's the people that fix your streets. It's in the 2nd district. It's the city of Ukiah. It's the county of Mendocino, and it's the Caltrans, right, with the highway. So I do think that, the county does have behavioral health billboards. We're on like MTA buses, right? But more opportunities, more ideas about how to get information out. I'm open to it. Like, what's the best plan?
I got some good ideas, but I don't want to hear we ain't got no money.
Oh, well.
All right, so let's talk about something else.
We're not getting a blimp or something.
There you go. Or how about just like a bat signal? You could just shoot out into the sky that just, as a different advertising. I think the county should just buy a billboard, one of those new fancy ones with all the lights on it.
The digital ones. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then you just run this stuff on it nonstop.
Call this here. Yeah.
Right there at the busiest intersection in town. So let's talk about the other hot topic, which I had texted you about, and that's this whole Pillsbury Dam situation and the Russian River project.
Yes.
So we had on, some people that obviously a lot of people want to keep the dam. And then we had on some people, which you put me to, which was Jane Pauley and Sean White, about the Russian River project to educate the community. And, you and I were texting a little bit where it came down to Madeline Klein's, what do you call it?
Resolution.
The resolution for Mendocino County to take a stand against the removal of the dam.
Yep.
And you voted not to take a stand to officially make Mendocino County. You and two other people on the board, not just you.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think that's a mistake. And then you were kind of like, well, look at all of these different things. So, our official response as a county then is that we don't want to oppose those dams coming out?
Correct. The official response is we are not opposing the removal of Scott Dam.
Okay. And the reason for that is because the board and now our county believes that the Russian River project is a better solution than keeping the dam.
The only way that the county of Mendocino participates in the water diversion is by not opposing the dams.
And why is that?
And we do not have water as a county without participating in the diversion. It's not our water. It's the tribe's water. So
Round Valley Indian Tribe.
Correct.
Why is it their water?
Because they were here first.
Okay, so
basically they have senior water rights.
Because they got the oldest right.
Yeah.
And so it's coming from Lake County, going into the Eel, which flows through Round Valley. Is that right?
It doesn't flow. It flows like near there.
Near.
Yeah, and then through up into Humboldt and out to the.
So do they have the right to the water that's in Lake Pillsbury?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even though that's in Lake County, why is that their right? Because they were there first, right? Just
like that's
hammering it out, right?
Yeah, that's how the tribal water rights work.
So they have the rights to the water.
I think that's an interesting thing that I see, like an argument on social media, like it doesn't touch their land. Like that's not how it works.
It seems like it should.
It's not. It's not how it works.
They're just entitled to water that's really far away from them.
It's not really far away from them. Like it's still near them, but yeah. Yes.
Okay, so we don't get any rights to that diversion unless Round Valley says we do.
Correct.
Okay. And so they said it was okay for PG&E to divert the water, or what's that? How does that look?
That came. So PG&E has been diverting the water.
Yeah.
For 100 years.
And so they got the green light from the Round Valley.
PG&E told the federal government. Well, first, I think that there's this communication thing, right? Like the public.
For sure.
In my opinion, these conversations all happened in public meetings that were not well attended because the public obviously didn't know, right?
Yep.
But it's not some backdoor deals and blah, blah, blah. It all happened at public meetings. But I think just generally people were busy doing other things and didn't know that this whole like thing was happening. So the
We know the
PG&E
government's not good at communicating when the meetings are happening, right?
PG&E said, hey, we're not going to operate this hydroelectric facility anymore. It's losing us money. We think there's a seismic thing, blah, blah, blah. We're getting rid of it. Anybody want it? And County of Mendocino, through IWPC, which is Inland Water Power Commission, which Janet Pauley is the chair of, said, like, yeah, we kind of do. We're going to try to figure that out.
Right.
And they tried to figure it out with Sonoma Water and, like, any other partner they could think of for a couple of years. And they couldn't. Couldn't figure out how to, like, keep it up and make money and how to pay for the study. Like, couldn't even figure out how to pay for the studies, right? So then it turned into PG&E said, well, okay, well, we're going to go to the federal government and we're going to tell them nobody wants it, so we're going to get rid of it. So they started to go through the whole FERC process, and through that is where, like, the negotiations for the new Ill-Russian facility diversion came in. And IWPC participates in that as a partner in the Ill-Russian Project Authority with Sonoma Water and with Round Valley Tribes. And I feel like that's where we are now. I absolutely understand like the frustration of Lake County for not being included in those conversations. And I also understand the frustration of the property owners at Lake Pillsbury that, like, own property and recreate there, right? Like, they use that lake for generations, some of them.
What I don't understand, though, is why it's okay to divert it now, but all of a sudden it's not okay for us to support. We can't have access to it if the dam isn't there. Like, I don't understand. We're still going to get the water either way.
Because right now PG&E is like
has the right.
PG&E has the right, and they're letting us.
Okay.
And so we need the similar agreement with Round Valley.
And why can't we get the water rights why can't Mendocino County or some group get the water rights that PG&E had?
Because we're not senior, and the tribe is.
Yeah, but PG&E's got them. So why can't they just hand it over to us? What's the difference?
That's like a legal question. I don't have the
I don't
answer.
know, but I'm just saying, PG&E can have it, but nobody else can, and so now all of a sudden...
It's not nobody else, it's the tribe.
Well, but PG&E is giving up their right.
Correct.
And then that reverts it back to the tribe.
And the County of Mendocino or any other partners couldn't figure out how to get the water right and the project.
They couldn't figure out how to get the water right financially.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so now... we have this Russian River project, which you support, correct?
Yeah, we need water.
Because we need water.
Absolutely.
And I had Janet.
Mm-hmm.
Janet, lovely woman.
I think she's great. Listen, that woman has dedicated, I don't even know how many years, 30 years on this, like, on Potter Valley Water and this project of her life.
Yeah, but now she's under fire, right? Now that she kind of turned her back on, I'm not saying she did, but that's like, what's going around out there is like all of a sudden she walked in being against it and, the dam's coming out and then walked out being like, all right, let's take it out. Because
what else are we going to do?
Because here's the problem though.
Fair
enough. And that's what she said on this podcast. So that's what she said. But what nobody can cover is where are we going to put the water?
Well, that's why the feasibility study for the expansion of Lake Mendocino, so people will automatically be like, oh, they're going to raise the dam. That might not be what happens. They're doing a feasibility study to see like how to expand storage in Lake Mendocino. And then IWPC at its last meeting, which gratefully there were quite a lot of members of the community there, was trying to prioritize how to keep water in Potter Valley as it comes through the project, right? Like, is that increased wells? Is that on-ground storage? Is that ponds? What does that look like? And so this is the thing that frustrates me is like, it's not as if the board or IWPC or any of the partners have turned their backs on Potter Valley or even our community. We are fighting in a way to save the water that doesn't include saving the dam. And that's the difference, right? Like, I think I texted you, do you want a dam or do you want water? Because we don't get both. We had to choose. And we chose the water.
Yeah, and I think that's where everyone's like, I want both. I don't want, because I just think like, okay, well,
3 minutes.
We got 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Oh boy.
We just save this for the end.
I know we should have started this earlier. I didn't know we were on the time. The problem seems to be like, again, okay, so can we store water in Potter Valley?
Yeah, working on it. I mean, it won't be cheap.
How would we store it there?
That's the thing. There's like, I can send you the infographic in the meetings. There was a conversation about flooding, in which I think is not going to happen, like flooding the bottom of the valley. I'm like, that's not going to happen. Don't talk about it. But there's like opportunities for wells. There's opportunities for on-stream storage, for ponds.
I mean, the word around the campfire is that Jane Polly's storing it on her land, and that she's going to be like, the new big dog in town because of this deal.
That's not a thing. And I'm
that not, well, that's why in the minute and 45 seconds,
it's not a thing. Stop saying that.
That's what everybody thinks.
Everybody
she
thinks
changed her mind because she's going to be the new water baron.
Everybody thinks that like anybody who's just like after money. All the people say that I have PG&E money. Like, girl, I'm driving a 2018 Ford Fusion. What are you talking about right now? It's like all this cannabis money I never got. Thanks a lot, you guys.
Yeah, you're doing it wrong.
Like, I'm literally doing it wrong, and Janet is too. I mean, I think that's the thing that gets me is like everybody, and I just say, like, if you automatically assume that people are on the take for every decision that they make, like, who are you and what are you doing? Because that's not the first thing on my mind. My first thing on my mind is, how do I support all of these residents that need water?
Yeah.
I'm a Janet Polly defender because that's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, we did the podcast, and that's just the number one thing I heard after was like, oh, Janet's turned her back because she's going to be the one getting water stored on her land and making a bunch of money.
We had to make a choice, and this is the one we chose.
So you still haven't found anywhere to store the water?
We're working on it.
You're working on it.
That's the thing.
You got, what, 2 years to get it done and built?
I do not think it's going to come out in 2 or 3 years. But yes, we are working on trying to figure that out as quickly as possible.
So if you're going to make Lake Mendocino better, what do you think's bigger? What do you think's the easiest way to do it?
I'm not a scientist. I don't know.
Dig a hole or build a wall?
I think they're looking at maybe the spillway. There's a few different things that they could do.
You got the experts on it.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. You're a good sport. I saw you at the bank, and you're like, I'm feeling spicy. And I was like, bring it,
We didn't even get real spicy, so that's good.
No, but that gives us something else for next time.
All right.